Howdy, it's Mr. Pete 222 again, and in this video, which actually will be a two-part video, I attend an auction that is primarily machine shop equipment and supplies, so join me as I do this. Now, after I unload the truck here, or the car, I'm going to have just several clips of the video of the auction preview. There's no audio, the quality is real poor, but just to give you an idea what was for sale, because I didn't actually take any video the day of the auction, but I will show you this as I unpack. And in the second part, do not bother to watch it unless you're interested in seeing a lot of junk and me plowing through it. And that is for the hardcore hoarders like myself and possibly some of you. So have fun. I did. I just returned from an auction and I showed you some views of the auction preview, but this is what I bought, and it's quite a large load, but it's only 200 bucks worth, but a good part of it is junk. So I think I'll show it to you as I unload it and get it inside the garage. But I'm weighted down here pretty well. It was a machinist auction, but I had the most fun near the end when they had the job lots and I bought pretty much entire tablefuls of stuff that nobody else wanted, and you'll see why nobody wanted it as I unload it. A few good items to be found, much of this to be thrown out. Well, this video is meant for junk collectors like you and I. If you're not interested in seeing plunder and worthless trash, you can turn this video off. But for some of you guys, you might find this interesting. And a man passed away that had worked at WESTCLOX, and WESTCLOX was a big factory in Peru, Illinois, where they manufactured clocks and watches and military products. And when he went to the original WESTCLOX auction, which would have been in the 80s or 90s. He bought a lot of stuff, but now he's passed away, so the stuff is being recycled again. But there's some interesting stuff here. Primarily, it was inspection equipment and for checking tolerances and parts that they were making. A lot of it for the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. So let me unload this, and then at a later time, I'm going to go through all of this stuff, later in this video, that is, and show you the stuff that's interesting. But something like this is just a cast iron bell, but I'd like to modify that because this must weigh 15 or 20 pounds to be the base on my reading lamp at my big chair, because modern lamps are so poorly made. So, you know, there's a nice angle plate. Boxes full of junk that needs to be sorted. There were hundreds of these. This one's no good. The crystal's missing, but there were hundreds of different dial indicators, maybe 1,000 of them. And, you know, stuff like this, and a lot of what I bought is still sitting on a table in the auction house and will get thrown out. There's a piece of junk. So I'll get all of this pulled out and in better lighting and go through it a little bit at a time, but I'm just going to show you the more interesting things for those people that like this type of thing. Everything that I bought today is represented on what's on the table here, a couple things on the floor, not much, and then these two cartfuls right here. So what I'm going to do is in this part of the video go through what I paid big dollars for, and that isn't very much, and then conclude the video, and then there'll be a second part for you people that are scroungers like me, to as I go through the plunder to see if there's anything good. But let me show you what I bought as good merchandise and measuring tools first, and that will conclude part one of this video. This auction was poorly attended, perhaps 30 people, but the problem was it was an internet auction, and that's why you see these tags on there, and they drove the prices up. They came out of nowhere. So this is the expensive stuff that what I'm going to show you now was about $120, and then the whole rest of what I will show you in the next video was about 80 bucks or less. But here I bought 2 micrometers together. I didn't really want this one. It's a 1-incher. And needs a cleaning up. You know, the Mitutoyo used a terribly cheap foam that disintegrated and made a mess on everything. But there's a nice little 1-inch micrometer. It has the wrench and the little ball attachment for tubing. So got that nice wooden case along with this, and this is what I was really bidding on, because I did a job the other day. You saw me working on that Empire Stirling engine, and I needed a 3 to 4 mic, and believe it or not, I only had one of them, and I had trouble finding it. So this one is in perfectly cherry shape. So there it is, 3 to 4. Still got the protectors on it, and that was worth the price of admission there, and that must be the standard for it, in a nice wooden box. Now, before I get to the next item here, let me make an introduction here of 2 things. First of all, I told you that this was a WESTCLOX auction, or most of it came from WESTCLOX originally, and I grew up in Les Salles, Peru, and there's a box that says WESTCLOX Division of General Time on it, Les Salles, Illinois. Actually, WESTCLOX was in Peru, but they used the Les Salles post office, which was a larger first-class post office or something like that. So this was really right on the border of Les Salles, Peru. So I'm just showing you that to identify WESTCLOX if you've never heard of it. It was one of the largest clock factories in the world. But the other thing I wanted here in the way of introduction, and this I only paid $1 for later in the auction, but I do love Taft Pierce products, and there's several of them that I'm going to show you out of Rhode Island. And this was buried or hidden. Nobody knew what it was, and so I got it for almost nothing. As far as I know, it's a cylindrical square, still in the greasy wrap. So it's probably very, very old, but in perfect condition. I always wanted a cylindrical square, so there it is. And I'm going to show you a few other Taft Pierce items right now. Well, that's fresh in your memory. And again, this I paid about $1 for. There is a Taft Pierce angle plate. How this could be patented, but it says that it was patented in 1915. What the heck is there to patent about a angle plate? But that also has all the packing grease on it and is perfect. And to finish things off, here is another Taft Pierce. I don't know what you would call that, but it's marked here, Taft Pierce 4x4x6. That's awesome, real awesome. And then, if I can set that aside, and I paid plenty for these. They had a lot of Taft Pierce V-blocks, and that's a matched set, and I think I paid $25 or $30. It's marked Gauge Lab. Aren't those nice? In one of the boxes was these. I got almost for nothing. Here's a set of parallels, and they're marked on the end 1/2 by 3/8. Appear to be new, virtually new. Here is a set of Starrett radius gauges. That was in a box of micrometers. Look brand new with the handle. There were quite a few Starrett and Brown & Sharp tools. Now, some of you may be familiar with shear Tomiko micrometers. This I paid almost nothing for. This wasn't in that expensive batch. This is old enough to where it was still called Tubular Micrometer Company, St. James, Wisconsin. Later on, they changed the name to Shear Tomiko. But the name Tomiko stood for Tubular Micrometer Company, which is what this is marked. And where do they get that name? Because this frame is a tube. It is hollow. This is a unique micrometer. It looks in perfect shape. Still got some of the protective wax on it. A number there. And I know what I thought is, oh great, I got a 2-inch micrometer. No, this is a 1-inch micrometer. Only 1 inch. But it has the thin blade, so that's a nice unit, very nice unit. So now you know a little bit about the history of the Tubular Micrometer Company and Shear Tomiko. Not that hardly anybody would care, but that's free of charge. And let me show you the last item that I paid big bucks for, and this might have been 50 bucks, I'm not sure what I paid for it. My wife has and this is purchased, it says here, purchased September 1942. So I was a year old. That was during the war. But this is, I wanted this so bad and I don't know why. And you saw me make a height gauge recently. Well, this is a height gauge base. Let me finish. This part marked Johannesson Ford, and I told you in another video that Ford brought Johannesson over from Sweden and eventually bought the company out. So you'll see things marked Johannesson and also Ford. But what is this for? You can stack gauge blocks in there. 5 inches or 6 inches of them or whatever. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, then this could be mounted in this base, something like that. And then we've got all kinds of attachments here. I don't know what they all are, but specifically I'm thinking of a scriber for a height gauge, also marked Ford. And I just love that Ford logo, and I think maybe some of you do too. A nice wooden case there, looks like a half center. And there's a radius. I don't know what they're all for, and the box is made of wood. These appear to have never been used. Perhaps you can sense excitement in my voice, but you know what? When I examined this at the preview, and then at this auction too, it was upside down. So somebody had turned it upside down and everything fell loose, and I believe that very few people, if any, knew what it was, and that's why I got it as a good buy. So let me show you one more item here that was in a junk box. There's a magnet with a nice plastic shield, chip guard Again, this does not appear to have been used. Or if it was, very, very little. That's all I'm going to show you in this part of the video. If you want to see more, watch the next part. But let me show you some disappointment here. This came in a box. I think I only paid $1 for it, but I was kind of excited. It's about a 4-inch 4-jaw chuck, and I thought, great, that's going to fit right on the nose of my hard-hinge lathe. But in my excitement, I already went downstairs, and no, that's nowhere close to fitting my hard-hinge lathe. But I guess I don't care anyway, because examining it more carefully, each and every one of the screws, and there is a chuck key for it here someplace. Usually chuck keys get separated, but each one of these is broken. So I guess it's a piece of scrap anyway and doesn't matter, but this was worth $1 or $2. Okay, now I am done with this part of the video. Watch part 2 if you want to see me go through the rest of the plunder. And that's only for hardcore hoarders like myself. This is tubalcain saying so long for now. See you in the next video if you join me.